Last week, Gal Gadot got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, leading some to wonder, is the whole celebrity sidewalk business a scam? Let's find out together on another episode of my hit series, Is It a Scam Yet? The Walk of Fame is a bunch of star-shaped plaques on the 15 most annoying blocks in Los Angeles. A recent study named it the 8th worst tourist trap in the world. Basically, it's what you would get if you combined Times Square with a cemetery. For some reason, it still has a bit of cultural cachet, so people get mad when somebody they don't like gets their name preserved forever on this incredible list of artists that includes Adam Carolla, Dr. Oz, Batman who isn't real, numerous sex pests, at least one convicted murderer, and the incredible artist Absolute Vodka. The question people ask is, what did that person do to deserve a star? And the answer is very simple. They deserve it because they paid $75,000. That's the answer. It's a pure meritocracy of who has the merit to pay $75,000 plus annual upkeep for a vanity name tag that smells like pee year-round. Sometimes people pay for it themselves, sometimes their fan groups pay for it, but usually a studio pays for it out of the marketing budget of a movie that you're starring in that's just about to release and do worse than live-action Dumbo. So it's a smelly, unpleasant, permanent ad campaign for a few good people and a bunch of creeps. But is it a scam? Yep. Doing your taxes is harder than it should be, but is it a scam? Find out on another infuriating episode of Is It a Scam? Yep. In many other countries, the government sends you tax forms pre-filled out with the correct information instead of making you guess what information they have on file. And that really seems like something we could do. We're a country that's pretty good at technology. We invented the internet and getting to the moon and the Doritos Locos Tacos. We know how to think outside the bun. So why don't we have that here? Simple. TurboTax doesn't want us to. They spent millions of dollars lobbying the government to prevent them from making your taxes easier so that TurboTax can sell you a product to explain the complicated taxes. Oh, but what about the free filing stuff? That was literally a TurboTax trick. They convinced the government not to make a free product by saying, don't worry, we'll take care of it free of charge. And then they did everything possible to trick people into paying for it anyway. And for doing that, they got a small slap on the wrist and a very large pile of money. The IRS finally got funding from Build Back Better to make their own free, easy tax product, and people love it. Weird. But then Elon Musk got rid of the team who made it, even though they cost less in total than the government is giving in tax incentives to TurboTax. Americans give $14 billion a year to tax prep companies because they have to. And you know what that sounds like? Just another tax. But instead of going to normal things like bridges and GPS satellites, it goes to a private company who just gets to keep it. TurboTax is like a toll road, but the toll doesn't go to the road. It goes to the toll person to build a bigger toll booth and also to lobby to make sure the road stays bad. But is it a scam? Yep. Online shopping is a minefield of fake products. But is it a scam? Find out on yet another episode of my hit series, Is It a Scam? Yep. It's always been hard to know if the product you're ordering will look like the product in the picture, but as AI slop slowly devours the internet, it's gotten much worse. So I just watched this video from Evident, a new nonprofit news organization, and it includes a story about the reporter's dad buying a cookbook for people with kidney issues that turned out to be entirely AI. And remember, the number one rule of AI is that it doesn't know anything, but it speaks very confidently. It's like a 20-year-old guy at a party, and I don't want that guy giving my dad kidney advice. People have even found entirely AI books about mushroom foraging, which is terrifying because the mushrooms that are good on a pizza and the killy ones look very similar. It also comes up a lot in genre fiction, and I'm not saying that's as dangerous as the mushrooms, but people who like to read spicy romance novels about firefighters and sexy ghosts deserve better. AI products are all over Etsy too, like this physically impossible mug. There are AI detectors out there, and so you know these shopping companies could implement them if they wanted to, but they don't care. Their whole business model is squeezing profit out of third-party sellers and then blaming them when something goes wrong. So you get a refund for your fake mug, but if a few people forget to return it, that's enough for the AI company, and either way, Amazon and Etsy get their cut. So go watch this Evident video about AI detection, because if the companies aren't going to do it, you're going to have to do it yourself, and it might protect you from eating a bad mushroom, buying a bad mug, or just reading bad books about single dads who get second chances with nannies. There are fake images of fake products and fake books by fake authors, but real companies are getting real money for turning the other way. But is it a scam? Yep. RealID has been postponed more than a George R.R. Martin novel, but is it a scam? Find out on my regular segment, Is It a Scam? Yep. RealID, which isn't an acronym, it's just in all caps because the Senate is full of old people and that's how they text, was passed so long ago that George W. Bush was involved. And I know you mostly think of him as a bad painter, but before that, he did a lot of even worse stuff. One of his main things was using 9/11 as an excuse to pass a bunch of laws that didn't work, like creating the TSA, which misses 95% of weapons brought through the checkpoint, and letting the NSA spy on all of your phone calls, which has, get this, contributed to literally zero prevented terrorist attacks. One of those silly billies was the RealID Act, and the whole thing it does is create some extra paperwork for getting a driver's license. There are a lot of concerns about privacy and federal power, but I think the more important point is that it's just Dumb. Yes, some of the 9/11 attackers got IDs using forged paperwork, but if you add paperwork to people who have forgers on retainer, you're just subsidizing the forging industry. And if it gets too complicated, they'll just use fake IDs. You are not going to stop terrorism by requiring something that any 19-year-old who's horny for White Claw can get. One of the changes is that you have to show 2 proofs of your address, like a power bill or something, instead of 1. The only terrorists this is going to weed out are the ones who have a dentist appointment coming up in like 10 minutes, or in other words, they will be just as effective as the TSA and NSA combined. Of course, the real reason why people like Bush Light pushed for it is who it actually hurts. People who don't have time to stand in DMV lines and don't have a lot of extra power bills lying around. Poor people. It's a law that nobody likes, that doesn't work, that was passed for the wrong reasons, and is mainly designed to take poor people down a peg. But is it a scam? Yep. Manliness is great if you've got a pickle jar to open, but is it a scam? Find out on my regular series, Is It a Scam? Yep. Sometimes the dumbest argument is actually the most clarifying, and that happened last week when somebody went on Fox News and announced tariffs make you manly. That's right, there's a masculinity crisis, but the solution is easy. It's paying more for imported goods. Real men take their coffee black and their trade policy arbitrary. And that sounds silly, but it's like Clarissa. It explains it all. If there's something that hurts you and powerful people want you to just shut up and take it, they call it manly. The only time people talk about manliness is when they're trying to sell you something. That's why their soap smells like sheet metal and their beer tastes like horses or whatever. Saying something is manly is like saying it's sushi grade or handcrafted. It is just a marketing term. That's why dying in war is manly. Getting black lung mining coal is manly. Trash compacting your brain playing football is manly. Manly is anything that rich people want to trick poor people into doing for their money, power, and enjoyment. Is it manly to sit at home and profit from other people's sacrifice? Of course not. Just like it doesn't seem manly to dodge the draft, wear eyeliner, and pay other people to play video games for you, but all of a sudden when it's them, it doesn't matter anymore. Weird. So when somebody tells you that an economic policy that is only good for extortionists and insider traders is actually going to put hair on your chest, they're playing the same game they've always played, they just forgot to hide the ball. They only tell you something's manly if it's bad for you and good for them. But is it a scam? You bet it is.